come once again to discuss things.
Hi everyone, welcome to another special episode of Geeky Gentlemen. We're going to just fill this last couple weeks in November with special episodes at this point, so prepare your anus. Joining me today is the real Manos, aka Justin Cristelli, and Rasco of Rasco's Modern Life. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, I am happy to say my anus is prepared.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentleman History Month, the month in which we discuss the contributions geeky gentlemen have made to history, but that have been ignored by a biased educational system, except not at all. I gotta get that joke in there every single time. Let me tell you, the listener, that you can download episodes of Geeky Gentlemen. There's a link in the description. Download this episode. You can download old episodes by request. Just leave comments on old episodes, and I'll post them to the download website for you. Where can they find old episodes, Rasco?
You can find old episodes in the playlist.
Indeed, they can. Okay, so this is a video that Manos and I had planned for like 4 years.
Yeah?
Yeah, because he and I on his channel back in 2012 did a just discussion for like 2 hours talking about the 2012 presidential election, and we decided, yeah, we'll do it again for 2016. Manos, someone even offered to pay us like $100 each to do that.
Yeah, and we stupidly just told them, like, we're going to do it anyway. Maybe we should...
Yeah.
Like, maybe I should have took them up on that. But,
yeah,
it's like,
probably.
I'm just going to do it anyway, so, you don't have to pay me.
Yeah. If guy that offered, if you want to pay me, my PayPal is SidPart2. I'll gladly take your money.
And I have a Patreon, so, I'll make any fucking video you want.
Anyway, for anyone listening to this that maybe just came across it randomly, we're all a bunch of liberal crybabies, and we are going to kill ourselves because Trump won, and there's no point in watching this video.
Yeah,
because your candidate won, and we're just liberal crybabies, crying, jerking off to our pictures of gay sex or whatever. So feel free to click away now, because that's all you're going to be hearing. If I see any comments from people saying, "Oh, liberal crybabies," you fucking knew in the first 2 minutes of the video, so I don't know why you bothered to stick around.
By the way, those comments will be fun to read 4 years from now, after the elections may turn a bit, but who knows?
Mm-hmm, yeah. So this is going to be our review of the 2016 presidential election.
Plot holes.
Yeah, right. Plot holes. Really just unbelievable outcome. It got to the point where it seemed like farce, and then it went too far.
Totally
really
all
just
over the place.
Yeah, I think this was way too unrealistic. I don't believe this at all.
I was really excited for the series finale of America, but come on, this is just ridiculous. It's like right up there with How I Met Your Mother. It's just too much. It's insulting.
Yeah,
completely unbelievable.
They never should have let the writers of South Park do this.
Yeah, exactly. And those are all the jokes, and they're not funny jokes at all, right? There's nothing funny about how this turned out, and it's already like we're only like a week and a half after the election now.
Well, I think that's part of the problem is up until recently, everybody thought it was so funny, and
I didn't.
Well, I didn't when he got the nomination. I thought it was kind of hilarious for a while, but especially when he's beating other Republicans in the primaries and making them look like ridiculous chodes. But once he got the nomination, I thought, okay, we should get our shit together. And then things turned and got worse and worse. And he won, and then people are going like, oh, man, This is serious. Yeah, it's fucking serious. It's a presidential election.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It was a crazy thing, and did either of you catch the Dave Chappelle bit with like watching on election night kind of thing on SNL? No?
I did not see it, but I've heard it. I think it's him and Chris Rock are sitting with a bunch of white people watching it, and they're shocked, and they're like, that's how it is.
Yeah, and
welcome to being black. This is what it's like.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, is this idea of, and I kind of, I obviously wasn't, those are obviously fake characters, it's obviously exaggeration, but fundamentally, I grew up in going to school and being told, racism is a thing in our past, and it's not acceptable, it's not something that we allow to have true public sway anymore, and for a long time, I did believe that. I never believed that racism was gone, but I never believed that it could be a major political force again. And I was wrong.
Yeah.
And that hurt so fucking much. And so I'm left here with just like, what the shit happened?
It's really depressing, actually. It's, I had
2 steps forward, 1,700 steps back.
Oh my god, no kidding. Well, I mean, I had, for a long time, like, I was, pretty much under depression. I had a pretty good handle of how racist this country is, and I know it is more racist than what the mainstream, media would like to keep telling us. So I thought, okay, for a white guy, I have a pretty good handle on how racist this country is. And this country is, this election has just taught me, like, no, not even you, open-minded manos, not even you realize how racist this country is. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't think he would win. I really didn't think he'd win.
Me either.
I thought it'd be close, but I thought this country would not press the button, and it's not as racist to that point to let this man win. Here's the thing. I didn't underestimate Trump. I overestimated this country. And that's kind of depressing and frustrating.
Yep. That's kind of where I am, too. Like, I don't think that Trump won so much as Hillary lost the election, is kind of where I'm at with this, because if you just look at the numbers, the number that I think shocks me the most about this is that Trump won with fewer votes than Romney lost with.
Yeah.
And that is just jaw-dropping me. And, like, you look at the voter turnout, and like 46% of people, or something around that number, 46% of eligible voters didn't come to vote.
Yeah.
And that's like,
Let me ask you guys, when you went to vote, was there a big line? Was it packed?
Nope, not for me.
Yeah. In comparison, I voted in the 2008 election and the 2012 election. 2008 was packed. I had to wait. I think I had to wait 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I had to wait maybe 10, 15 minutes in 2012. This election, my wife and I walked in, voted, walked out.
Yep.
And I was a little concerned when I saw that. I was like, I hope we got in between the rushes.
Yeah.
Which could happen. So it was like, okay, maybe just, it was around 3:30. Like, maybe, it's not too busy. But, no, see, and that's another thing. Like, it's true. When people come to vote, Democrats do better. And when they don't, Democrats do worse. Over and over again.
And that's why I think it's more that Hillary lost it, because I talked to so many people who just could not bring themselves to vote for her because of, various things, like the Wall Street insider feel of her, just how freaking suspicious she seemed on everything. And I know, like, we can go, oh, well, those charges have all been, dismissed. I'm like, you don't keep getting accused of something if there's absolutely nothing there.
Well, she has been constantly accused since the 90s for like 20 years. Mm-hmm. And guess what? They haven't found shit. They haven't been able to convict shit over and over again. I mean, she was accused of murdering Vince Foster back in the 90s.
That one I didn't even know about. But, like, there's still just this undeniable, like, sense of she doesn't actually believe a lot of what she said. She was just, you know... I think the best way I heard it phrased is she took whatever political view was popular at the moment.
Yeah. But here's, you know, the thing that frustrates me about that is, yeah, that's a lot of politicians.
Yeah, I agree. It's typical politician behavior, but it's just there's so many different compounding factors that I just talked to people who could not bring themselves to vote for her, even if it meant Trump winning. And, like, I think part of it, too, is a lot of people just didn't believe that Trump could win.
Yeah,
like,
and, you know,
no matter what.
And you know what? And Hillary didn't believe that. I know Hillary and the Democrats were overconfident. Like
they were super overconfident. I mean, and it was showing even on the last day. Like they were going. Hillary, I think, went to Michigan the day before voting day, and she wasn't planning on going to Michigan, but she realized quickly that Trump's message was, I guess, resonating with people there, in particular in Michigan, because of areas like Detroit and stuff like that, where they really do care about, like, manufacturing jobs and stuff like that. And Hillary was totally overconfident and wasn't expecting that would even be a state at play. And, I mean, Michigan alone could have fucked her in the election, but she wound up getting fucked in other ways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's just such a... like, what you were choosing between was fascism, disguising itself as change, and continuation of the status quo, which is, as you said, Manos, pretty typical politician stuff here in America.
Yeah.
And people... It's hard to get energized about, yeah, let's keep things the same.
And you know what? This is something that frustrates me with Democrats and liberals, too, is we constantly forget we have to keep fighting the same battles over and over again. Like, all the time.
And, like, this is why I don't really consider myself liberal at all, because, you know, you a lot of the rhetoric that was coming out of the left here was just something I cannot get behind. These ideas of, oh, we have to accept everyone. His running mate believes you should electrocute gay people until they are straight. I can't respect that as an opinion. That's, like, fucking terrifying to me.
I know.
That is fascism. It's like, just let the fascists have their say. No.
Yeah.
No.
You know, growing up, and actually, geez, just 10 years ago, racism was a terrible thing. And you're racist, well, you're out of the picture. Forget it. Now it's like an opinion. Like, oh, I should really respect his opinion about hating black people and gays. Like, no! You know, this ain't hot dogs or Batman versus Superman.
Well,
this is fascism. This is evil. This is pure evil. Like, you know, Superman never goes, well, Darkseid just has a different opinion than me, and I should be cool about it. Like, no, that's bullshit.
And like, it's this interesting idea of where does the line change between suppressing free speech and just cutting off someone who is being intentionally hateful? Like, where is that line at? And it's a complicated question, I'll admit, but at the same time, you look at the results of what can happen when you just let fascists have their say for the sake of letting fascists have their say. Like, look at who you're defending is, I guess, a kind of way I come down on some of that, you know, every opinion is equal liberalism.
I mean, I'll argue because I obviously am someone who would argue from that side totally 100%. And for me, it's, I don't believe in the power of censorship because I don't believe, same reason I don't believe in actually using nuclear weapons. It's a power that humanity isn't smart enough to use wisely. And that power, you may trust, for example, let's say you may trust, like, just society on a social level to try to actively censor certain types of speech, or you may do that on a governmental level, but there's no way of knowing if that power will ever be used against you. And it's just it's very similar to nuclear arms, where it's just a power that's incredibly dangerous. So in my opinion, it's best we not use it at all. That doesn't mean though that you have to look at the opinion of someone who truly does just have hate in their heart for no specific reason other than it just exists, right? But I think what was happening with the Trump people was there was a reaction to what does happen on the left. And I say this as a person who identifies as a person on the left, but what does happen on the left is there's so many conversation stoppers on the left that we throw out and we use them to stop debate. And I think there were a lot of people that don't agree with what Trump had to say personally, but knew that Trump was going to be the guy that pushed the envelope of freedom of speech, and he was going to be the guy to go against that conversation-stopping type stuff. Now, Trump's not the person you want to be making that argument. He's not equipped to do that, and honestly, he probably doesn't care about free speech when it comes down to it. He just probably doesn't like to be called out when he says horrible shit. But for I think a lot of people, what they saw was, oh, look, I'm tired of being called, a misogynist when I'm pro-life. I'm tired of being called a racist when I have anything to say negative about a certain person, or I'm told that I can't comment about a certain issue because of my race or my age or whatever it may be. I think a lot of people were fed up with that, and they didn't like that, and that does exist on the left. That is ultimately the safe space culture that does exist on the left. It's a real thing, and that's a huge turnoff, and it's why people like me I didn't vote for Trump, and I probably would never vote for Trump, but that's honestly how I can see it as a valid argument that, like, if you needed to vote because you truly feel that freedom of speech is being taken away, I could see that causing a lot of people to vote Trump.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I don't know how far along, like, the support that goes, but I know there was that energy, and I know it's been building up for a few years of this attitude of fucking social justice warriors over, like, hey, fuck you, how dare you tell me, I can't say what I, want to say, even though, hey, look, someone bitches about, I don't know, whatever, on Tumblr, all they want, doesn't really affect anything. We still basically can control, our own lives, compared to what might happen in real life. You want to, like, hey, look, here's the thing that goes on the left, and the left even fights amongst itself, to the point of, like, free speech versus social justice, and there is that conversation going on here and there.
There absolutely is. I mean, like, yeah. And I would say that, like, that's honestly, like, the most important thing going on within the left right now. I think that's the biggest rift in the party. It really is ultimately the safe space versus freedom of speech divide, and there's a lot of people that are caught somewhere in the middle of that, and they don't know exactly where they stand. There's some people that know exactly where they are. But, like, I think that's the big divide on the left, whereas on the right, the big divide is between true conservatism and nationalist populism, which is what Trump is. He's not a real conservative.
He isn't. No, he is just about him. You know what? I mean, if he had found a way to be on the Democrats, if he had found a path for that, he would have totally done that.
And he would have completely been the reverse of everything. Because I don't truly think that Trump's, like, a horrible racist bigot. I think that he is just willing to pander to horrible people that he needs to come out and vote. Like, he needed a new base to replace all of the voters that were not going to vote for him out of principle. There were a lot of conservatives that didn't vote for him. He had less votes than Mitt Romney. So he had to make up those votes somehow. Yeah. And what Hillary didn't realize is that she had to make up votes because there were people that left her and voted Trump. There were people that voted twice Obama and then voted Trump. She had to make up votes, and she couldn't do that, whereas Trump, he knew he had to make up the votes, so he just picked a group that he could easily pander to. And that was the alt-right, I guess. He knew that he could.
Here's my problem with that. Here's my problem with that, though. If it was just about pandering, then why is he now hiring people to enforce that agenda?
I think he...
Pandering in a different way, but I'll let Manos go.
I do think that's the train of thought. I do think that's the philosophy that I think is closer to him. I think he would have been a bigger liar if he had gone on the Democrat side. And I think just being a Republican was just easier. I do think he is just as sexist as we think he is. I think he's a misogynist. I don't think he respects Muslims at all, and it doesn't respect their rights in the slightest. I think he thinks that he's cool with black people. I really think he does. I think he believes
That's my African American over
My
there.
African American, blacks for Trump, stand up.
He
did do better with blacks than Mitt Romney did.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on.
He got 35% of the Latino vote, I think. So
Nah, it was like 20 something.
it was a significant amount more than Mitt Romney on both when it comes to freedom.
And I have no explanation for that.
Actually,
I
do, because there are Latinos in this country who feel like they came over by legitimate means, and they hate Latinos that they feel didn't. There is that rift in that community.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and that's a totally reasonable, reason to I guess side on not necessarily not side with Trump on immigration, but side with more of the conservative stance on immigration. Because if you came into the country legally and you waited your turn and you're seeing all these other people that did not, that would piss the living shit out of anyone, I think.
Yeah. I mean, they don't take time to really consider
I mean, I
situations.
should... Let me get in here.
Yeah.
I've got Hispanic family. I cannot believe it, but several of them did vote Trump, and they are, of course, legals and been here for years and everything. And
prove it.
Yeah. The argument I heard coming from them was, we just really hate Hillary.
Yeah.
Like, the joke that kept being made is the Republicans and Democrats are running the only two candidates who could lose to each other.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing on earth. I think that's so funny, and it's so irritating because, like, I think a big reason why nobody took Trump seriously for so long was because the mainstream media did not understand how much of a chance he had from the beginning. Because they don't understand how much people don't like Hillary Clinton. CNN is baffled. They're confused. They don't know why people rejected their candidate that it was her turn. It's Hillary's turn, guys. What are you doing? It's Hillary's turn. She's going to be our president now. They just don't even understand that people don't like this system of, well, we kind of already know who we're going to, we know who the party's going to back. It's going to be this person because this person's dependable and, it's their turn. And people don't like that. And CNN and MSNBC and even Fox News, they treated Trump in the beginning like he was a joke because they were for more of the other traditional conservative candidates. But it's like they all don't understand fundamentally how detached they are from the average American and what people actually care about.
Well, this is what the systems were already set. Like the Democrats are already in league with putting Hillary in their position.
And
the
again,
Republicans,
way to go, DNC. Way to go, DNC. You picked the only candidate who could lose to Trump.
And the Republicans, they were all set for Bush.
Mm-hmm.
Bush, Jeb Bush
was a sure
going
thing.
to be the guy. And we were going to have a Bush-Clinton rematch this year. And that's when Trump, surprised everybody because he seemed to understand the Republican playbook better than the Republicans. Because the Republicans, they play on the same hate and fear that Trump was doing. But he is blatant. And, he doesn't talk in code. Mm-hmm. And that really responded to people. Where the others were trying to do their, nod, wink, wink, subtle stuff. And, it doesn't work. It doesn't work with, with Cruz, he was trying it, who I think is also not a great person. But, Bush, you could tell, halfway through the primary, he was so emotionally defeated by it. Yeah, oh my God, I knew it was over. That was over when he said that.
Yeah, well, no, this is why... And, it's people like Jeb Bush didn't understand the disdain for establishment politics. He didn't understand that either, because it's he's sitting up there with Trump, and Trump is like, you're low energy and you're a loser. And then Jeb Bush is like, stop making fun of, you said mean things about my mother. Apologize. That is, no one wants to get caught up in this. And ultimately, we kind of swung crazy in the other direction, where people stopped caring at all about anything anyone said, because obviously you'd have to do that to get over some of the stuff that happened with Trump towards the ending of the campaign. But
oh my God,
even in the beginning there, that was the first sign of, these politicians and people do not understand that when Trump says things, it doesn't matter if they're horrible. What matters is that the horrible things he says are things that normal politicians wouldn't say. So when he says horrible stuff, and Fox News and CNN, they go, look at all this horrible stuff Trump said that you would never imagine a politician saying. So many people go look at that and they go, I actually kind of like that. Not that he said that, but I like that he's not saying things normal politicians would say. That appealed to a lot of people, especially in the Republican base, and it energized people that really had been disenfranchised and didn't care at all. And that's what both sides didn't understand. That's why Bernie was such a competitor against Hillary Clinton. It was because people liked Bernie. They gravitated towards someone, and especially the fact that he didn't have a super PAC helped him incredibly. People like that kind of transparency, and they like that his campaign was funded by overall small campaign contributions from individual people. People like that across the board. And Trump, he could have made it so much easier for himself if he had actually lived up to what he was, because Trump kept saying, I don't have to have, I can fund my own campaign, yada, yada, yada. He was lying when he said that in the beginning of the campaign. He was technically still getting money from a super PAC. And then later on in the campaign, he just straight up abandoned that because he needed to raise more money that way. But if he had ran his campaign on Hillary's taking money, I'm not, that could have helped him win by even more, because he actually technically he didn't win by more, he lost, or he won by less.
Once again, what the fuck?
We can get into
what
that
the
in a minute.
Fuck with the Electoral College.
Yeah, but
someone's got to do. Like, the problem is the only person who will do something about that is someone who loses because of that.
Yeah,
and by definition, they can't.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically asking both Republicans and Democrats, hey, fix the system that really helps you out.
Yep.
Like, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll correct that. We're right on that.
Yeah, it's such a bullshit thing.
Yeah.
I wish we could do more like the what is it, Maine and Arizona do, where they award electoral votes proportionally to percentage of popular vote you get.
I wonder if there's any way, like maybe on the local level, maybe the state level, it can be corrected.
Doesn't matter. Republicans control most state governments right now, so good luck with that one.
But let's see. What was I going to say?
Yep, good luck with that one. Sorry.
I'm very happy.
Debbie Downer over here.
Yeah, let's see. I am happy that my state is a blue state. It's so funny. Like, I grew up, Virginia was a red state for the longest time.
Well, dude,
and
Indiana's new governor plans to try and put laws to make abortion completely illegal within the state.
I know. That's what I'm afraid of. I mean, good Lord. See, that's what I was thinking about. That's what I was talking about. Is that you feel like you win, a big battle in our culture, and then a few years down the line, you got to fight it again and again and again, and it can be exhausting. And that's something I have to warn people, especially younger people who are getting into politics. Like, you win once, it's not like the end of, like, Empire. It's not like the end of, like, Return of the Jedi, Star Wars, where the Empire dies and everybody's happy and everything's cool.
You eat their bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you eat the bodies of the stormtroopers.
Yeah, it's over, you win, and everybody's cool. And, no, it's more like The Force Awakens, where the First Order comes back over and over again. That's one of the things I like so much about the First Order. It's like, yeah, that's actually remarkably realistic. Like, just because this side loses doesn't mean they just quit and go home. Because they're like, oh yeah, all right, you got the abortion thing, we'll go. Like, no, they keep coming up with new ways of combating, and what they have done. Like 20 years ago, Republicans and conservatives decided, like, well, we can't really win this legally. We've tried for like 10 years, 15 years. So what they've been doing is they've been whittling it away since the 90s. Like every kind of like technical chance or on the local level, whatever they can do. And even W. Bush, when he was asked about banning abortion, he said the country isn't ready yet. That's been the whole plan. It's been a long game to them, and I don't know. I mean, it's going to be the point. It's going to be the point where, like, hey, it's totally legal in this state, but it's cool in this state. And you know what? If you got money, if you can afford it, great. You can go to this other state to get the abortion. If you're not, well, tough shit. That's how it is. By the way, that doesn't solve any problems. You know, people will still there'll still be unwanted children. There'll still be people who try to get illegal abortions anyway and maybe die in the process. It doesn't solve anything. Abortion is a solution to a problem. And if you take a solution off the table, the problem's still there. And actually it's worse because you took a way of taking care of it. And I ask every time I talk to somebody who's pro-life about this, and I ask them the same question over and over again. Okay, what if you get your way and you totally ban abortion? What happens the next day? And I will often get the question, what do you mean? It's they don't think about the next day. Because, are you going to do what Trump suggested? Are we going to be seriously arresting mothers and forcing them in prison to have babies? And then what happens to those babies? Nobody thinks about that shit. Nobody talks about that shit. And that's probably
I highly recommend.
Yeah.
There's an old documentary that was a bunch of interviews with women who illegally received abortions when of course the process was illegal.
Yeah.
And just the ways people had to risk their lives so crazily when having a baby put their life at risk in the first place. There was one woman whose doctor told her, don't get pregnant again or you will die.
Yeah.
And then she ended up getting pregnant and had nothing that she could do about it. So there's a lot of situations with that. And just the fact that he's going to, they're already talking about, once he appoints a justice, they're going to try to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Yeah. Now, the advantage of that, the thing that we can look to, the good news about that is he'll be replacing a hardcore conservative judge anyway, Scalia. That is at least the good news.
But we have other justices who are older than Scalia.
Yeah, that's true.
Sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who he does not like, by the way.
Of course not.
Is 83.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is a pretty conservative woman. She just when she got on the bench, she was like, wow, this is way too right. I've got to go more moderate.
Well, here's the funny thing about Supreme Court judges. And I've watched this with Democratic presidents and conservative presidents where they get somebody they think is our boy or our girl, and they don't always really vote the way you think they're going to vote. Like
Anthony Kennedy.
Yeah. Like Bush.
Anthony Kennedy saved Obamacare 3 times.
Yeah, and Roberts is a W. Bush appointee, and he sided with some very liberal decisions. Yeah, it's because the idea is we're going to get this guy who votes with us, even though the Constitution isn't really. It's not supposed to be left or right. What they're supposed to do is. Not fight on the same team with you. What they're supposed to do is their job. They're supposed to actually pay attention to the Constitution and rule because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, yeah. Isn't Scalia? God, I feel like wasn't Scalia Clinton?
I don't even know. No, Scalia was Reagan.
Reagan. Wow.
Yep.
I may have to look that up.
I'll bet $5 on it. Not too much, but I'll bet $5 on it. And Scalia had, constitutional conservatism, so he wasn't right. He was just, conservative. So Scalia said things that were kind of crazy, the Constitution guarantees the right to bear RPGs on the street. What? But he also, the Constitution doesn't say anything about cloning, so I don't have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Scalia was a Reagan appointee.
Boom!
You win $5.
Good. I will accept it via PayPal.
All right.
Anyway, yeah, the Supreme Court was the big one this year, and of course it's so ridiculous, and Obama warned him, if you play ball with the Supreme Court nomination, what guarantee you, and this is to Raska's point, what guarantee do you have that Democrats won't do the same thing? There are Democrats right now that are talking about, we're going to try our best to work with President Trump. No. Fuck it. They held up everything they could for 8 goddamn years. they refused to do anything. The Congresses that were coinciding with the Obama administration passed mathematically fewer laws by huge margins than any other Congress in history.
Yeah. They were basically that child you see at every store that just falls on the ground and just won't move.
I mean, why? Like, fuck it, do that. Do it again. Like, you know, Democrats can't stop much, but they can refuse to vote on things. Like, the only things I want to see Democrats working with the Trump administration on are term limits and trade deals. That's it.
Yeah. Well, sure.
That is absolutely it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this give Trump a chance. Like, he needs...
Fuck that
shit. He needs to prove that he is not a cartoonishly evil supervillain from a Christmas story. And, you know, here's the thing. I do advocate, like, when he does come up with something not terrible, yeah, work with him.
But... And, like, don't give him a chance and, like, give him the benefit of the doubt. No, be incredibly skeptical about every single thing.
Democrats already did that with Bush. When they gave him a chance on the Patriot Act, when they gave him a chance on the Iraq War.
And, I mean, to be fair, Obama abused those privileges that they gave Bush, too, and I don't want to see Trump go further with that.
Oh, he
will. You
think he won't? You think he'll give a shit?
Yeah, he doesn't give
exactly.
a shit.
He won't.
Yeah.
He won't give a shit. He was like, you know, then there are all the protests happening now that Trump has won, and people are like, not my president, and all this stuff. And I heard a guy at work say, he's like, what was it, the third debate or whatever, where Trump said that he might not accept the results of the election, or he'll let you know at the time.
Yeah.
And now the people that didn't get their way are out there protesting and angry. Well, like, what? Why is that such a double standard? I'm like, no. It's not a double standard. The people don't have to accept, especially since the dude lost the popular vote, the people don't have to accept a Trump presidency. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, the candidate running against him, yes, she should, and she did, concede the election when he won in the Electoral College.
Because she was the other
person
running, yes.
Yeah, the person running has to. The person running and the president should not condone violent protests and stuff like that. But you know what? People protesting being violent out there?
Yeah.
Fucking do it. If you are afraid for your life, good. You should be.
I hope that you remind your friend that the week before the election, Trump supporters were talking about going out in the streets and being violent, like on purpose.
Yeah, now, like
now
it's such a
now it's like, oh, hey, look at these sore losers. Like, are you shitting me?
No, it's ridiculous. It's such a double fucking standard. It's hilarious. Did you hear the Hamilton news yet?
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Oh my god, that is the funniest thing ever. Like, so for those that don't know about it, Mike Pence went to go see Hamilton. The cast, after the show was over, did their curtain call, and they had a quick prepared statement like, hey, Mike Pence, your administration, some of us in our communities are afraid of what you might do, so we hope that watching this musical tonight might have enlightened you to what we're afraid of, and we hope that you govern and protect us in your administration. And, like, they even told the audience, no, don't boo, there's no cause for boos or anything like that. And then, like, an hour later, Trump's like, oh, Mike Pence was harassed, and all the fucking Trump supporters are like, boycott Hamilton! Yeah, good luck with that. Boycott Hamilton, liberal crybabies, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
it's so hypocritical.
Like, were they asleep for the last 8 years? I mean, Obama and, like, Obama's supporters have had to, like, deal with that bullshit for literally every day of them not acting as if he's really the president. And, you know...
And like, seriously, the very first thing that the leader of the House did, or not the leader of the House, the Senate leader...
Yeah, when they were
the Republicans did, was say, we will make Barack Obama a one-term president.
Yeah, not, hey, fuck the country. And listen, in 2008, when Obama was coming in, we were on the verge of a depression. And they're arguing about this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, we're in a much better state, you know, as a country right now with Trump coming in.
Not for long.
Well, not for long, but I mean, post-Obama, this country's in much better shape. But the country was in crisis when Obama came in, and all they're doing is like, oh, well, we ain't gonna play along. Can we, like, help and save the country first before you play your little games? Like, be fucking adults. Do your jobs.
Yeah. And I'm just like, and if they can play fucking chicken when there's shit on the line, and the idea that the Democrats can't, and you know what, honestly, I'm not going to say fuck the Democrats, but at the same time, fuck the Democrats for being so pussyfoot with so much of this shit. Like, just the idea that they helped Hillary Clinton win the primary, all these other things that they fucking did, this shady business.
Yeah.
No, fuck you. You deserve to lose, in all honesty. There is a reason that people are not inspired by your pussyfooting bullshit. There's a reason that you lost as heavily as you did. And so, yeah, you deserve to lose. And now, Rasco will attest to this, because he and I had multiple conversations about this. I was of the opinion that if Trump lost, it was the end of the Republican Party. I was of the opinion that...
Yeah, me too.
If Trump lost, then the right would split up into probably the Libertarian Party and neo-conservative party. I was wrong. I think it might be the end of the Democratic Party, though.
Well, here's the thing. If the Democratic...
I think we might get, like, a new left, is what I'm saying.
Well, to be honest, I was hoping to get a new left anyway.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Hillary... I would imagine Hillary as a president would be, and I know she would probably hate this comparison, be kind of compared to, like, a Nixon presidency, where Nixon... He wanted to be popular. And he would...
But he just wasn't.
He wasn't. And he would go along. I mean, he obviously... he would vote... He would put things through that he knew would make him look good. And I know Hillary would do that. And being on the Democratic side, those would favor a lot of liberal causes and a lot of social causes. So that would be good. And I was hoping that maybe with Bernie having a lot more power... as well as Elizabeth Warren and some others, maybe the Democratic Party would have been able to strengthen itself, in a Hillary White House, and the Republicans would have to rebuild, like you were saying. But now, I don't know what... See, the thing is, not all the Republicans are happy with Trump. They are happy they won, but I don't think they won not the way they wanted to.
But here's the thing, though. They saw the overwhelming urge of the Republican base that Trump brought out. So I think the Republicans that aren't happy are going to be challenged in primaries in 2 years, and then they're going to be booted, and it's going to be a farther and farther right House and Senate. I'm probably wrong. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Seth Meyers, who so much funnier than Jimmy Fallon.
Well, yeah.
Seth Meyers had a great joke about the Trump presidency. He's like, okay, so when Trump first announced, I said, oh, it's just a publicity stunt. He doesn't really want to be president. And then when Trump started running and started doing well, I'm like, okay, well, he's still not going to win. It's just a mild surge. And then when Trump won the nomination, I was like, okay, well, he's never going to win the presidency. And now he won the presidency. So with that track record, I've said that over and over again, Donald Trump would be the worst president ever. I can only hope that I am still wrong, and he's going to be amazing.
Look, you know what? Here's the thing. I hate Donald Trump. I hate his policies. I hate what his supporters have been doing. But if he turns out good, then great. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. And that's one of the things about being cynical is when you're wrong, if you're smart, you should be happy about it. Oh, that would be great. I would love it.
Yeah, but I don't see, like, how I could be happy with anything that he's talked about doing, and with already the news of what we've gotten. Like, I mean, when he picked Mike Pence as his running mate, I was, like,
that was bad
disgusted.
News. Yeah.
I'm fucking from Indiana, dude. I hate Mike Pence. I hate Mike Pence so much. When he put Mike Pence on the ticket, I was like, oh shit. And now, like, this idea that we talked about briefly of, oh, well, he doesn't really believe this, he's just pandering. Well, look who he's putting in power.
Yeah.
He's putting a general, like George Takei 2020, Takei 2020 hashtag. George Takei is on Twitter blowing up a storm about the new national security advisor, because the guy has said that Japanese internment camps of the 40s are precedent for Muslim registries in this country. Like, I don't see how that's a good outcome in any situation for like, people that are not, white males.
Yeah,
I don't see how the positions that he is posting are good ideas.
Yeah, but at the same time, so this is what I was saying when I'm gonna can we go back for a second just to the whole thing we were talking about, the fracturing of the Democratic and the party.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Because
I'm just gonna lay out. So this is my prediction. I think I've explained this to Ian before. This is my prediction of what I think is ultimately going to happen over the next 4 to 8 years. So I think right now, Democratic Party strangely went from being in a state where it might just continue to perpetuate establishment politics forever. If Hillary had won, I think that would have been the case. Like, the Democratic Party would have just really tried to solidify itself and push all the Bernie voters under the rug, and they kind of would have just tried to keep on with the norm. But I think because she lost, now the Democratic Party, there's like a giant power vacuum. So I think that there's no one to replace Hillary, because I don't think that any establishment politician, I'm talking about people like Hillary Clinton, like Tim Kaine, these kind of politicians, they'll never be able to get enough people rallied behind them to ever actually be competitive, I think, in a national election. I don't think that can ever happen. I think that the corporatist establishment side of the Democratic Party is gone, and I think what's going to happen is you will most definitely have Elizabeth Warren will run in 2020, and she will run on pretty much what Bernie Sanders ran on. It will be a lot of the same ideas, and that will be the new main Democratic Party. I think that will be like a majority of it. Let's say like 60, and I think the 40% of the Democratic Party that's not a part of that group is going to be people like me that are more like libertarian, that lean left than I guess like a leftist. So I think that's ultimately going to be the minority of the Democratic Party is going to be people like me. Then you're going to have people like Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, those kind of supporters will be the majority of the Democratic Party. And then on the right, I think that Trump will lose, and he won't get reelected. I think that's just kind of impossible. I think it's impossible that Trump doesn't piss off enough people in these 4 years to have the country just rally against him no matter what and make sure he doesn't get reelected. I think he's kind of, I don't know, he's dug his own grave there.
He's never going to have that little voter turnout.
Yeah,
in
the voter
election.
turnout will never be that little again. It will, because people.
Yeah, it was like a
much
perfect storm. It was a perfect storm of things that went wrong for him.
Yeah, and because of that, I think that ultimately that will cause a similar rift in the Republican Party. I think because of Trump will not get reelected, but the people that back Trump will have been unified at that point, and that is the alt-right. And you really will see in 4 years a split.
Don't call them alt-right; they're
That's
neo-Nazis.
I could be wrong, but I'm just laying it out.
that's something I've thought myself. I mean, I wouldn't just call it best case scenario, but a good case scenario. I think that could happen, actually. I think that's very likely to happen if things go well. If the Democratic Party plays this smart, and they have been in the past able,
which they won't. They won't.
They'll try not to. Like, they will do everything
to.
they can to crash their own fucking plane.
They will. They're really good at that. And well, the Republicans do it too, but they can fall back on people's ignorance and hatred to back them up. Like, oh man, that helps out. We really fucked up for a while, but thanks for being there. I do think, like, here's the thing, like, you know, Democrats and liberals and, you know, hey, look, you know, the libertarians and, you know, the Green Party, these people really do need to, like, you know, get together. And, you know, we have election, we have the election in 2 years for a lot of seats. And here's the thing that always pisses me off about Democrats and liberals is we don't show up for the midterms. We don't. And
well, the problem is it might be
because we're too busy.
Well, not just that,
yeah.
but it's very much a chance that it's impossible for a very long time for Democrats to ever take back the House because of Republican gerrymandering that occurred with the 2010 win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like the fact of the matter is, I thought the Senate might flip and that they might gain some seats in the House if there was enough voter turnout against Trump. Because my theory was that Trump would lose down the ticket. Oh, Rasco dropped out of the call. My theory was Trump would lose down the ticket.
Yeah.
But
sorry there.
That's okay.
The thing is, the Republicans have gerrymandered the districts in their favor because when they swept the House in 2010, they were put in charge of redistricting. So again, maybe on a local level we can get something put on the books that says redistricting does not get to be done by political parties. It has to be done by independent commissions.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just insane. It's silencing your voice. It's specifically changing the voting district. And again, fucking how is it this complicated that in a democracy the person who gets the most votes is the winner? How complicated an idea is that? Just the idea that you like silence, like you might have more people in a state vote against a candidate that because they're not from a district that is overwhelmingly blue or overwhelmingly red, then they can lose for that candidate.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
That's how that's how you can legally cheat to win.
It's so BS. It's so irritating because we need to get away from a system that is kind of like framed around the idea of two parties when it comes to just every aspect of government. Like, we need to get away from that because there's, like, here's an example of something that is ridiculous. Did you know that not only so it's ridiculous for third parties to have to get to 5% in 3 national polls or some bullshit like that to be
on the debate stage. Isn't that a media standard, not a like actual campaign standard though?
Well, no. So I don't know. Okay, so this in particular, like they can't go on, for instance, things that are not. I think this is media, but this is just like how ingrained it's become. I think this is a media standard because like Trump and Hillary, like if they were invited to like a debate on some sort of political internet talk show, let's say, they can't go to it. They can only participate in debates that are literally on TV. Like, they literally can't do a debate. Like, if they were just asked by someone who said, hey, I'm going to have a debate between you, the third-party candidates, and Hillary, and you can come on my internet, podcast or whatever and do that. They are not allowed to do that, literally. Like, they can't host a debate outside of the 3 sanctioned debates that they have on TV.
Again, I think this is a thing where we really need to change the way the Electoral College works. Because the reason we have a two-party system is because it's a winner-take-all situation for state by state, which is still ridiculous because it does provide a very likely possibility now for someone to win the Electoral College but not the popular vote. That had only happened like 1 or 2 times in the past before the Gore-Bush, but now that we've had it, a couple elections almost back-to-back, that's really frightening. But anyway, we should move more toward what Maine and Arizona have, where it's awarded proportionally, because guess what? It would be awarded proportionally to however many candidates are running in that state. And then if someone does not get the 270 electoral votes needed, there needs to be a contingency. Again, there also needs to be a contingency of if you win the Electoral College but not the popular vote, then you do not have a mandate to lead, and something else needs to be done. Mm-hmm. That is such, like, just the idea of, you have all the conservative, I'm not even going to call them conservative, because they're not. You have the racist bigots on Twitter and all these other platforms talking about, oh, liberal crybabies, your candidate lost, just accept it, Trump won, we're the voice of this country. You're fucking not. Just mathematically, your candidate did not win the popular vote. Why would you expect us to sit back and be okay with that? I can honestly say, as someone who hates you for having fucked up views like black people and white people shouldn't be able to get married, I can honestly say, if Hillary had lost the popular vote but won the Electoral College, I would expect you to be protesting, and I would expect you to be violent, because yes, that is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not excusable for that to be an okay thing for someone to be president of the country. You do not have a mandate to lead.
Well, that's the thing is, right now, supporters, Trump people official, and just Trump supporters in general, they're trying to win the kind of debate, and they're trying to convince the rest of the country that this is their country. The majority is this. This is the mainstream, and these people are just on the outside, and they lost, and they're losers. And it's not really true. This country's population is still growing, and the people of color are still growing in population. Women are still growing in population.
I cannot believe 50% of white women voted Trump.
I know.
What the fuck women.
Well, here's the thing. Trump lost women of color, I think, in all other categories.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's just white women. Thanks, white women.
Yep.
And white men, too. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
although I'm
seriously.
used to, as a white man, I'm used to being embarrassed by my own group. But this year was really bad. White men.
Oh, right. I imagine so.
Man, being a white guy this year was just like.
I mean, to be fair, I was ready to be embarrassed for Hispanic people with fucking Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio running. Jesus Christ, fuck both of those two.
I know.
Like, I don't understand how you're anti-immigration when both of your anti-immigration reform when both of you wouldn't be here if not for really weird immigration laws regarding Cuban immigrants. That is such horseshit to me.
Yep.
I'm like, what the fuck, guys? What the fuck?
Well, hey, you know, they made it, so it's cool for them, but, you know, the others forget it. And that's the thing that will get me through at least the next couple of years, is I know we're not the minority. I just know it. I don't care how many Trump supporters on Twitter try to convince people. It's not true. We have this weird situation where a vocal, you know, they're not the silent majority, they're the loud minority, and they've basically taken the wheel, and we let them through our stupid indecision, through our own shenanigans. I hate to say that word because it sounds like a bad restaurant chain, but let's
go eat at shenanigans tonight.
Oh, look at this stuff on the wall. It's really but yeah,
like a Red Robin ripoff.
Yeah, it is. And you know, we kind of, you know,
Tim Drake's new superhero name is Shenanigans.
Yeah, we gotta let this happen.
Sorry,
that's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
We did kind of let this happen. Partly because I think we all underestimated the power of anger and hate and fear. We really did.
I didn't. I was calling that Trump couldn't win because I believed in people I believed in the people of this country to be rational and to look at the choices. I thought Trump was going to lose because people couldn't stand him, not because he couldn't rabble-rouse enough people with hate in their heart. I was, like, my mom and I talked politics all throughout the primaries and everything because she's diehard Republican, and I told her after the election, like, I hope that everything you've ever wanted to happen does now, because you have a Republican House, Republican Senate, Republican President, and you're gonna have a Republican or a conservative Supreme Court. I hope you get everything you ever wished for. But like I was talking with her through the primaries, and she's like, "Oh no, Trump's not serious." I'm like, "I think he is."
Yeah.
I was never, like, you know, I made jokes about Trump. I thought he was a joke, and I made jokes like, "Okay, this can't be a real campaign," but those were jokes. I seriously believed, if you talk to me dead serious, no jokes about Trump, I was worried the whole time that he would get power, and because he is a fascist. Even if he doesn't realize he's a fascist, it doesn't matter. Here's the thing: fascists don't get to make that determination about themselves. You cannot be like, when it comes to being a fascist, there's very little room for self-determination. Well, that is a label for you, not that you get to choose.
Yeah, well, one of the things I learned when I was, you know, studying writing and learning how to write was villains don't think they're villains. They think they're the good guys of their story.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's not their job to tell you. Yeah, I have no... See, the thing is, like, yeah, it's kind of wish fulfillment that he really doesn't mean what he's going to do. I think, look, at this point, we just have to accept that, you know, from what he has told us and what he has, like, assembled around him, he's going to try and do what he wants to do. And the Republicans, I don't know. I mean, maybe some of them might have a conscience and stand up against him, but I doubt it. Not strong enough.
Like, I mean, they're politicians. They're going to go where they think the people lead, and the people put Trump in the White House.
Well, look at Ted Cruz. During the primaries, he was talking about how this man cannot be allowed anywhere near the White House. He is awful and terrible. And you know, at the end of the campaign, he was making phone calls for him. He was cold calling people.
Yeah, but Ted Cruz is just the smarmiest dude.
Yeah, but he's an example of what I think, you know, I think we're going to see a lot in the Republican Party.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like these ideas that, oh, the Republicans will stop him from doing anything truly awful. Just like that, again, George Takei, amazing Twitter account.
Yeah.
Seriously, hashtag Takei 2020. I want that dude to run so badly. Anyway, like, he was talking about what he was afraid of happening again that happened to his family with Muslim people, with other minorities. And someone goes, Republicans won't let Trump do something like that. Have some faith in people. I'm like, what fucking world are you from?
I already had faith in people, and he got elected.
Exactly. Like, no, just have some faith that no one will let something that awful happen. What are you talking about? What? And then there are like people going, oh, well, it was a Democratic administration that did that. This isn't about what side of the fucking aisle you're on. This is about ideology. I
know. For me, it's not even about left and right. It's about right and wrong. Mm-hmm. And look, hey, I am an American before I'm a Democrat. Look, I mean, if Trump was on, I mentioned, like, if Trump had ran as a Democrat. If Trump was a Democrat and he'd been running against Jeb Bush, I would have fucking voted for Jeb Bush. Which is amazing.
Can I just, like, isolate that as an audio clip and post it on its own? I would have voted for Jeb Bush.
Yeah.
Hashtag Real Manos 2016.
That's right. And I dislike Jeb Bush, but I mean, I at least trust him to be kind of a professional and not completely evil.
Yeah.
I don't agree with a lot of things he does and says, but our country could survive 4 years of that guy.
He's a loser.
Yeah, he's a loser, but, other than that, yeah, so Trump was the worst thing. I just didn't want to see Trump happen, and, now I'm living in that world, and I'm, we're already talking about people getting attacked in the streets.
Yeah.
We're talking about sore losers on the Democrat side. How about the sore winners on the Republican side? I mean, they're attacking people and spray painting swastikas.
Yep. Yep.
And I have a friend who was a white guy, Jeff. He was walking by a restaurant, and one of those ones that has the chairs and tables on the outside. And a guy asked him, he saw he was smoking, and he asked him for a smoke, and he said he didn't have another one to spare. And he called him a fucking Jew and threw change at him. It's like, what? It's just okay to behave like that now?
I mean, it's a mandate to hate. That's what people think. And like Trump's whole thing is, like he did the 60 Minutes interview. He goes, I'll look right at the camera and say, stop it. What the shit?
Right
that's not enough.
Say, stop it. Stop doing it. Stop.
Yeah. And he
that's
even
not enough.
Yeah, it is.
It's not.
It is not enough. And he actually he seemed kind of surprised. If you really watch that interview, like, people are talking like, okay, hey, stop it.
And like that's the thing is they don't think it's a problem, and people are going, oh well, the Democrats are attacking Trump supporters. Yeah, like, but look at the reasoning. Okay, I don't agree with this, but let's just say all violence is wrong. Okay, let's look at the reasons for violence. You have people attacking Trump supporters because they are now afraid for their life, and they're not going to let that person. They're going to do everything they can to make sure the person who's going to threaten their life doesn't get in the White House, even if it means losing their life in the process. And then you have acts of violence from the right now, which are motivated by hate because now we don't have to hide it anymore.
Motivated by, yeah, I know, this deep-seated hate that they've just been dying to unleash. And it comes from a position of power. And that's
no, you gotta...
I saw a meme that kind of annoyed me that I think was trying to be peaceful, but it like was a piece. It was a picture of Ku Klux Klan men, and it said white power, and then it was one of like, of course, from the 1960s of Black Panthers. Oh, and it says Black Power, and it, at the bottom it said, all people power or something like that. Like, those both have the word power in them, but they are completely fucking different situations.
Black Power, White Power, unite!
Yeah, White Power is from, like, a position of enforcement to enforce its status quo on the people below them. Black Power is about rising up.
And I hate this.
And they're
narrative
not the same.
I hate this narrative of, oh, well, why can't I feel pride in my heritage? I'm like, you know what? I'm from Fort Wayne. We have German Fest every year. You're a white person and you have European heritage that goes Germany, Britain, France. You can feel proud of the heritage and the history with that. White is not a heritage. White is a position of power. Like, the thing is, people go, oh yeah, white power, white power. I just want to be proud of my heritage. You're not proud of your German roots. You're proud of the oppression that you're able to put on other people. Yeah. There's a fundamental difference. German heritage pride is different than white pride.
Exactly.
Whereas black, you know, the African identity was very much stripped away from black people in this country. They don't have any real connection to their African roots because it was erased. They didn't feel the need to keep records of that for some reason. Maybe it's because niggers weren't people. So this idea that, oh, well, it's the same thing. It's not. Black is an American identity. That's why I don't like the phrase African American, because there's nothing African about you anymore. You are a black American.
You could be from fucking Jamaica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, you know what, to be honest, sometimes I think maybe, you know how somebody will say, hey, I'm Italian. You know, they don't bother saying I'm Italian American. I won't. You know, maybe, like, you know, American could be dropped from Africa if they want to say, you know, I'm African. Although it's weird. Like, what do black people in England say?
Well, see, that's the thing.
Like, am I African
England,
British? Like, that doesn't really have the sound.
It's black people in like European countries, they don't have the same like black identity that exists in America. It's
a unique American identity because it's a unique set of circumstances that like existed in part in other European countries, but not to the scale that it did here.
Well, that's because, you know, slavery didn't
back there.
Yeah, well, I think slavery lasted longer. I think the Civil War ended in such a way that it didn't really end in our culture,
exactly.
And we're still kind of fighting it. That's not the situation in England. That's not the situation in France. And
yeah, I mean, in England, slavery was banned as a practice in England before the Revolutionary War here.
Yeah. When did it start? Because I'm pretty sure America's actually, while it was one of the last places to end slavery, it did take part in slavery one of the shortest amount of times comparatively to most other European.
Well, it's also a shorter lasting country.
Yeah, like it sprouted up later and then lasted longer, but like I think
well, I mean, we can talk about Spanish slavery of natives too. Slavery as just a force in this country did exist from the very founding of European. And to be fair, it was a practice that they borrowed from the Aztec and the Maya. No, wait, my bad. Not Aztec and Maya, Inca. It was a practice that they picked up from the Inca because the Spanish weren't slavers. That was the Dutch. But regardless of all that, see, you get an education here.
Yeah. I'd like to apologize to our Inca viewers. You did not mean to slight. I apologize.
It's just like black identity is a different thing, and so black power is a feeling of you get to feel pride for being black in a nation that has tried to strip that idea of a proud black man away from you. And there's very similar things with Hispanic identity and other minority gay pride identities in this country, whereas white power is this idea of oppression, and white nationalism, like Steve Bannon, one of the top advisors to Donald J. Trump now, President Donald J. Trump. Christ, I hate saying that.
I know.
I
will continue to just say...
He's the God Emperor. You got it wrong.
Oh my God! I think I will probably just call him Trump. Just saying the whole word, the whole phrase is just tough.
No. I think that's why it's important to say.
I refer to him as the God Emperor.
Disgusting. Yeah, you do that. I think it is important to say the whole thing. It's like a pimp named Slickback. You got to say the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think it's important to extend him that because that's what he wanted. He wanted that title, and so I think it's important to remember. He is your president. Whether, like, I don't like the hashtag not my president. No, he's yours. That's what you get living in this country.
I don't like that either, frankly. Because it's
like
it's not like the situation in 2000 with George W. Bush, where I really do sincerely believe he and his people cheated. He did, I think, technically got reelected fair and square. And I think unfortunately, Trump got elected by our laws. I don't think I haven't heard anything that sounds suspicious outside of gerrymandering.
And that's on the books.
That's on the books. So
there was targeted voter suppression.
Yeah.
But I mean,
not on a scale enough to make a difference.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have really changed anything.
So I mean, like it or not, he is my president. He's not.
Yeah, and he's
not a president I like, and that's
the thing is, like, I've said this before, and I'll talk about it a lot. It's a point I originally made when talking about Rome, but it pretty much applies to every empire in history. And don't fool yourself, America is an empire. Nations get the leaders they deserve. That's something I truly believe. And I'm not the biggest fan of Barack Obama. He did some things that I liked, and he did a lot of things that I don't care for, and I can name them off if you want. But you got the leader that you deserve in the moment that you deserve them. It's not a Batman Dark Knight situation. You get who you deserve when it comes to who leads a country. You set up what the morals, what the standards of your country are, and we live in a country where we value those who stab people in the back and do anything it takes to succeed more than we do those who help each other and look out for one another. And so we get a president who would rather stiff people even though it doesn't affect his finances. We get a president who is a sexual predator. That's the person we get now. We got the leader we deserved. If you want to change that, change the values of your country. So yes, I do think it is important. Like, I will say this, and it pains me to do so, but I will say it. Donald J. Trump is my president, and I don't like it, and I'm going to do everything I can to stop it.
Yeah, I agree. He is also my president. I don't like it at all, and I don't have to live with it. I don't have to take it. And that's the thing I think a lot of Americans need to understand is they don't have to take it. They can take some position and they can take some power in this. It's going to take some time, and it's not something like on American Idol where you can vote and everything's cool. You have to.
So many people are asking for a do-over. It's ridiculous.
No.
People need to understand what voting fucking means in this country.
I'm not. Look, there are people talking about, hey, the Electoral College could just give it to Hillary. It's like, yeah, maybe that technically can happen, but it's not going to happen. And I'd rather just go into this and just accept, the reality as it is instead of what I want it to be, and just work on tomorrow. And I am not interested in. This is the thing. We have to get over it. We have to get over it. We have to not fight with each other. And that's I'm talking about the factions within the Democrats, the liberals and moderates in the Democratic Party. I'm talking about the libertarians, and I'm talking about the Green Party. I'm not interested in blaming anybody. Look,
I am.
Well, we can analyze, what happened, and I have no problem with that.
Just
but
fun joke.
fighting over whose fault it is just worthless. It really is.
Yeah, and I mean, I listened to an interview with Bernie, and someone asked him, "Do you think you would have won?" He's like, "It's not important because I wasn't the candidate, so whether I think doesn't matter at this point." And that's a really subtle way to say yes. But
yeah, the situation is what it is now, and we can't fix the past. We can only fix the present and the future. And I think it's really important that these factions need to work together. Because look, I agree with libertarians on some issues. We do, and I know I agree with people in the Green Party as well, and up and down the Democratic Party, because the Democrats are. They're not all Bernie liberals. They're kind of all over the map, actually. And that's the thing I like so much about the Democrats is, unlike the Republicans who have been pushing out, the moderates and the liberals in their party, the Democrats are, they have people that, I would disagree with. They have people that are a little more liberal than I am. And I like that. That's what these parties should be like. And we just have to work together on this, and we have to oppose, what we can. And I will accept if he comes up with shit that I agree with, I will support it. I'm not going to be a stupid douchebag and say, well, you're not on my team, so fuck you. That's not. I didn't like that when people were doing that to Obama, and I won't do that, to Trump. But it has to be, it has to be something good. It has to be something I agree with.
I'd say, I'm not saying don't look at anything he sends, because I mean the likelihood is it's going to get passed no matter what. So look at it. I just say approach everything with intense skepticism, and if you don't like it, if you feel that it's going to hurt people, then do everything you can to stop it.
Yes.
That's where I'm at on it. Because, yeah, I was saying fucking Democrats pussyfooting around for 8 years and shit. That was a problem. I don't want them to just do the same thing and go la 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 to everything that Republicans try to pass, because they're going to be able to pass it anyway.
Yeah.
What I want them to do is try and put a voice in. Because, like, with Obamacare, it's this perfect example. Obamacare is Republican legislation. You heard that thrown against Mitt Romney over and over again in the 2012 election. It was the exact same thing that he passed as governor, just on a national scale. It was the Republican alternative, because if you just look at the idea of it, you have to buy insurance through a private insurer. That's the most Republican way to do universal health care you could possibly think of. The whole point of them doing that was to try to give Republicans something they could grab onto and be able to justify supporting it.
Yeah.
And the Republicans just decided to go, la, 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 I can't hear you, where then they could have had input on it and helped it be better legislation, because it is the worst piece of legislation I think I've ever seen. It's got so many damn just stupid problems in it, to the point where it got to the Supreme Court over what a word meant. What the fuck?
Well, that's what they did. It's like, this was, Obama went so far as like picking something that they were about like 10 minutes ago.
Yep. And that's the thing, is like, so I don't want the left, I'm not even going to say Democrats, because I anyone on the left to just reject everything Trump has completely out of hand. If there's something that you can work with to move to a better place, yes, do it. But that doesn't mean working with Trump. That means approaching him with intense skepticism and doing what you can within the confines you exist in. That being said, I highly doubt there's much that can be done.
I doubt it. But I mean, if it happens, don't turn your eyes away from it. But I mean, who he's putting in his cabinet, what he's looking for. I mean, it doesn't encourage me at all. I mean, if there were some people who weren't evil or stupid that he was talking to, well, then I would feel better. It would give me some kind of relief that, okay, we can probably work with this. It won't be great, but we can. But I haven't seen anything that's given me any kind of encouragement.
Yep. There's like the most encouraging thing was that he put the head of the Republican National Committee as his chief of staff, and that's just. And the only thing that's encouraging about that is his base hates that guy. That's the only thing that's come out of these cabinet appointments that are you look at Obama when he was appointing his cabinet, he mainly picked political enemies from both sides of the aisle.
Let's see. I think one of the things also encouraged me. I've talked about how we're not really totally in the minority. We're actually in the majority. We just lost this election, and bad. But another thing is, it is possible for Trump to lose support even with his religious cult. Do you think he could lose some support, or at least de-energize them and disappoint them, if he doesn't get that wall up?
I don't think so, because they made they did backflips to justify everything the guy did during the campaign.
Yeah, but this is different. This isn't talking about abusing women or hating black people. This is that wall that they want so bad. What if he can't it? If he can't get it built, or if Mexico goes, hey, we're not paying for that.
You know what I want Mexico to do on Inauguration Day?
What's that?
I want them to put their military like stretch it 100%
Oh.
across the border, and then walk up to the line and have every single person take a shit and say, "There's your fucking wall," and walk away.
You know what? Although, you know what'd be great if that wall did get built, or half of it built, and they did pay it somehow, that he was able to finagle that to happen. Then they show up with their military the next day and blow it up.
Oh, that'd be
And
cool.
go, "Hey, fuck you, it's our wall.
Hey,
Yeah,
Paid for it, we're gonna blow it up."
hey guys, I gotta get going, but
It's cool, Rasco.
it was great talking to you guys.
Yeah,
It was,
thanks, Rasco.
It's great talking to you. It's been a while since we've talked, Rasco.
Yeah, it's always a
Oh.
pleasure, man.
All right.
All right.
Take care, man.
Peace out, guys.
Yeah, that's
Peace out.
like if I were the president of Mexico, that's what I'd order my military to do: to stretch right across the border, everyone take a shit at the same time
That would be
while
great.
Trump is being sworn in, and then he's gonna be all like, "Well, the wall just got 10 feet higher." Like that's his response to all this shit. Like, dude, you're not getting the fact of the matter is you're probably going to crash the economy anyway, so Mexico doesn't really want to be a trading partner with you, and his whole idea is that his leverage to get them to build the wall was going to be that cut trade deals and benefits to Mexico if they don't.
I know. I think that's the two things I'm most terrified of. Even if you put aside all, like, the Nazi stuff, and by the way, I can't believe I have to say something like that.
Right?
That shouldn't be in the conversation. But if you put aside the fascist Nazi stuff, I'm really worried because of our economy. I don't trust this guy with our economy, and I don't trust this guy with our military. And the fact that our military supported him is just insane to me.
It wasn't actually, no. Hillary got much more support.
She
from the
did.
military.
Okay, that's good.
He went, "Oh, I've got like the support of 300 generals." Yeah, Romney had like 600.
Yeah.
Well,
that's good. That's news to me. That's good.
No, like, the military actually hates him because he's been talking about, we're going to bring back waterboarding, and we're going to do worse, and we're going to, go after terrorist families. And the military's sitting there, those are war crimes.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, that's, I think there's some Constitution shit. And that's the thing. A lot of this shit he's been promising, like he's a fucking king, he's got to go through channels for this. He's got to go through the Constitution. He's got to go through the ACLU. He's got to go through other countries.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's crazy, and something that a lot of people don't know about is George W. Bush and Dick Cheney have arrest warrants out for war crimes, and they're not allowed to go to certain countries now.
Yeah.
Because of what was done in the Iraq War and with Guantanamo Bay. The international courts have put arrest warrants out for them for war crimes, and America is not complying by not sending them there. But at the same time, I think there's like an exception. You don't have to send your own leaders.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless of that, you don't have to send your own citizens. There it is. But regardless of all that, what happens when he brings torture, like when he advertises performing torture? What's the response from the international community? Are we going to get sanctions from the UN?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I've listened to people in Parliament in England and Scotland talk about, and they're just dreading the idea of him becoming president.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would not surprise me. He is already not popular. And, like, Germany, I've listened to people in Germany talk about this. It's like, hey, we've seen this show before, man.
Like, that was the
and
thing
we
that
got totally fucked up over it.
That's the thing that got me about it, is you had Holocaust survivors saying, this guy is reminding us of Hitler. It's not like that's the problem, is it got cute to compare every politician to Hitler.
Yeah.
But no, you didn't hear people who were actually around for Hitler say shit like that. And now you did.
And you know what? I think that's part of the problem with comparing everybody to Hitler that you don't like. Like, people are comparing Obama to Hitler because of Obamacare. It's like,
oh my god, it's so stupid.
It
Did I ever tell you about the Hitler ones were stupid enough? Like, I remember seeing a picture. I went to like a gun and knife show because fuck it. I saw a picture of like a young Obama, and Hitler was standing behind him with his hands on his shoulders, and they were like both looking up at the American flag.
yeah. And you know what?
Yeah.
look, like conservatives do that. To even people who don't make sense. And even liberals will do that too.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. We've done that to people that I think was like, yeah, it's maybe a little far. But I think it desensitized this country. Like when you compare everybody to Hitler, really doesn't mean anything when somebody actually shows up and suggests to do stuff like Hitler. Like, yeah, whatever, fine, I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a huge problem. It's crazy to look at some of the stuff that is going to come out of this. Like, do you remember Inauguration Day for George Bush?
Yes.
George W. Bush?
Yeah.
How he got the most protested inauguration of all time?
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen on Trump's Inauguration Day?
Well, the day is probably going to be pretty protested, and there are protests, I think, going on before and after. There's a Million Women March that is being put together, and I probably lost track. There's probably quite a few that's going to be around that week. We'll see what happens. But, one of the things that made me laugh the most that he said this entire campaign was he started talking about, after he got the nomination, he was going to bring people together. It's like, what are you fucking talking about?
Yeah, like he's been saying that, no, I'm not going to be divisive. We're going to bring this country together and heal it. And Obama is trying his best to just keep the peace right now by saying, no, we have to give him a chance to lead, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, fuck you, Obama.
Yeah, well, I mean, Obama, his hands are kind of tied in this.
Yeah, I know. He's the president. He has to say that, but still.
We'll see what Obama has to say out after he's finished his term. We'll see what Obama has to say in, like, a year.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is he's probably going to have to take a public break for a few months. If I was him, I would. I'd go fuck everybody. Just take 6 months off. Go with Michelle somewhere. Just enjoy being alive and not having to take that bullshit every day, and then come back. Like 6 months to a year. At least that's what I would do. Like Bruce Wayne during No Man's
Dark
Land.
Knight Rises? Oh, okay. Dark Knight Rises, same thing.
Yeah, during No Man's Land, where he took off for a while.
That wasn't why. That's not fair.
But, and
I will defend Batman against your slurs. Like, it was funny when Trump was first campaigning and everything. I remember talking to you on Twitter at one point because you were like, great, Lex Luthor's going to actually be president. I was like, I will not sit idly by and let you demean the moral character of Lex Luthor by comparing him to Donald Trump.
Yeah, at least Lex Luthor is intelligent,
right?
I mean, he's super villain evil, but like he knows what he's doing.
Right? Like, I could maybe see voting for Trump if he built an Iron Man suit. Maybe.
Yeah.
Just maybe.
Donald Trump is Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2.
Oh my god, yes. Yes,
he's that guy. Let's see, Justin Hammer from the comics is a little more intelligent, but yeah, the one from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he's that guy. Who thinks he's all fucking that, and all cool, and smarter than everybody, and he isn't. But he has enough money and power to, back him up.
Yeah. Let me ask you this then.
Sure.
Because it's an interesting idea, and I know where I stand on this. How do you feel about the idea that if you voted for Trump, you are a racist? Like, not necessarily you think of yourself as a racist, not necessarily that you think bad things about minorities and other, or not. Let's not use the word racist. Let's use bigot.
Yeah, because that covers
not necessarily
and
gays and every. Yeah.
Not
necessarily that you hold those views, but you are empowering those views by voting for Trump.
Yeah, that's. I actually think that question is more complex than some people think it is. Because I know people who voted for Trump, and I don't believe there's complete hate in their hearts. And I don't believe they were motivated by hate. They were possibly motivated by fear and ignorance. Like, I'm sure.
And here's my thing with that.
There's some people out there who thought Hillary and Trump were the same, and have a rough understanding of politics, and it's like, yeah, they're all the same. I'll vote for Trump. See, I hesitate to put out such a blanket statement about all Trump supporters because, in a way, that's almost doing what they do to everyone else. Because not everyone who is a Muslim is a terrorist.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing. It's like I'm hesitant to like put that statement out to all Trump supporters. But look, here's the thing. I don't necessarily believe if you're a Trump supporter, you're automatically a racist. But if you're a racist, probably a Trump supporter. And
see,
if you really believe you're not a racist if you voted for Trump, or bigoted if you voted for Trump, you have to understand what side you just chose to be on.
Mm-hmm.
You have to kind of acknowledge that. You can't just say, "Oh, all those stories about people being attacked is fake." You can't you can't believe that. You can't allow yourself to believe that. You have to face up to it. And I know.
Here's my thing.
I know some of those people are not going to face that, and they choose to live. They choose to live in this bubble where, hey, I believe everyone's equal, but the problem comes from these people complaining, or these people protesting, or these people causing trouble, because hey, there's no such thing as sexism anymore, or racism, or bigotry, because, hey, gay marriage is legal now, so there's no anti-gay stuff.
I got two things I got to talk to you about then.
Okay.
My first is, like, what you're saying, I understand the thought process there, but here's my response to that.
Sure.
I believe that someone could have voted for the Nazi Party because they felt that Germany got a bad rap at the end of World War I.
Yeah, and there is a legitimate case for that.
Yeah, but the thing is, regardless of why you did it, you still empowered the worst possible person.
Yeah.
That's my problem is, like, regardless of what you think you were doing, it doesn't matter. You now bear responsibility for putting someone who will look I'm trying not to condemn him before he does anything himself, but he's clearly started stuff. He's clearly inspired things that are terrible already.
I almost feel like a time traveler.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here at this moment where I know someone's going to do some shitty stuff.
Yeah, and I don't want to predict Armageddon and all that stuff because fact matters, we live in a privileged country, and I think Trump is smart enough to, as long as enough people stay warm and safe and not affected by anything, then they won't do anything about it. But fundamentally, I believe that by empowering a bigot, no matter what your motivations for doing it, you still empowered a bigot, and that you bear responsibility for that decision. So
yeah.
I don't know if I'd use the phrase all Trump supporters are bigots, but you clearly are not in the moral right. I think it is a clearly immoral thing to have done.
I would agree that they have done something wrong. You can be... Jon Stewart said something interesting. He said, you cannot be a racist and still do something racist. And, yeah, I think they have made it... I think what you said, I think, is a really good point. Like, even if you find yourself motivated by what you think is the right thing, and you weren't motivated by hate or fear, if you think you were, you made a horrifyingly immoral choice.
And that's kind of where I'm standing on that. So, like, when I say something like, if you supported Trump, you are a bigot, it doesn't necessarily mean that I think you hold bigoted views, but it means that you empowered a bigot, and that makes you a bigot in my mind. Or I can't separate those two.
Or if it's just, or even if you aren't a bigot, and you empowered a bigot, you just basically did the same thing. I mean, what really is worse?
And the fool or the fool who follows him. Yes, Star Wars quotes.
Yes.
But it's this interesting thing, and it's a hard thing to come by, and it's not just all A or this, and like you talk about the idea of Jon Stewart did too, of this monolith of, well, we don't say that about Muslims though. We don't say that if you're a Muslim then you're a terrorist. But the thing is, there are different branches of Islam, and there is a branch that is prone to radicalization and terrorism, and that is a problem, and it needs to be addressed. And yes, the Muslim community needs to do things to address it. It's not 100% on their shoulders, of course, and it's stupid to put it at 100% on their shoulders.
Agreed.
But the fact of the matter is...
Because I don't have to do shit about the Klan.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, you can be a Muslim, and you can be a Muslim of a division, I guess I'll call it, since I'm lack of a better word, that is prone to radicalization, but that does not make you a radical terrorist. But the fact of the matter is, voting for Trump is a choice which has clearly been laid out to do things that are very, very easily terrible. Even if I give him just 1,000,000 miles of rope so he can hang every one of us, and give him just the biggest benefit of the doubt and say that he thinks he's actually helping and he's not going to try to actively do things just to punish and degrade people, which I do not believe, but even if I give it that, it is impossible to argue that what he has proposed doing does not have unintended consequences against minority populations at the very least.
Yeah.
It's impossible to make that argument. So I feel that it is a choice to choose to vote for Trump, regardless of your motivations, even if you might not be a person with hate in your heart, you might not be a bigot. The fact of the matter is you voted for a bigot, and so that it is a morally wrong act. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I posted a tweet, it was pinned to my profile for a couple days, where I was talking about, can someone tase Mike Pence in the face so he walks around wondering whether or not he's gay for a week? And, it's just silly, stupid joke, whatever. But, actually, there's a lot more background to this. But that's the pinned tweet, right?
Yeah.
And, Rasco and I, we do fan film reviews. Mm-hmm. And we did... for October, it was horror month, so we did Rasco picked a fan film that was a Creepshow fan film. And it was really, really bad. It had, a shitty filter over everything so that it looked all like 70s stock kind of film.
Yeah.
And it was just awful. But we were talking about it, God, a lot of this doesn't look like it's been shot by the same person. It looks like it's been shot by different things. I'm like, well, maybe it was different groups that put it all together. And then he goes, yeah, but what's up with this double title at one point? I'm like, wait a minute. So I look up one of the titles of one of these things in this anthology video, and we find out on recording that the dude took other people's films, compiled them all together, put a shitty filter on everything, and made his Creepshow fan film.
Ugh.
So we called him out on it in our review. The review's still posted. He pulled the video down. We called him out on it, told him, said, that's a fucking dick move. And especially if you're going to steal, at least steal something good. We really just, ragged on him for that, because, I was pissed. I found out in the moment, found out on recording, we pulled him to shreds for it. Motherfucker found me on Twitter.
Yeah.
And started talking all kinds of shit on Twitter. He's like, oh, Sid Part 2's everything that's wrong with this country. And he replied to my pinned tweet. It's like, why don't we tase you? And then, a couple hours later, I get a message on YouTube from this, Trump Ads 2016 channel.
Yeah.
And they took a screenshot of my tweet and put it in a video intercut with other, what they called liberal crybaby tweets.
Wow.
And it was intercut with those tweets and with footage of really stupid gifs of Hillary vomiting diarrhea and other stupid shit. There was a clip of Charles Manson at one point. Yeah, it was just the dumbest thing. It's my tweet and then Charles Manson, and I'm like, what? I don't understand that at all, but whatever.
Yeah, Charles Manson is very popular with the Democrats.
Yeah. But anyway, so it was all that stupid shit. And then in the message that the guy sent to me, he's like, congratulations, you just got reported to the Secret Service and CIA, you liberal crybaby. Kiss Obamacare and gay marriage goodbye, because now that Trump's president, we're taking this country back. And then it was the video link. And so the idea that, oh, well, he's not going to overturn it, or the base doesn't really want it overturned, or whatever.
Yeah.
No, they do. They fully expect him to do everything in his power to take that away.
Yeah.
So you just made me think of that, talking about, you mentioned gay marriage at one point when you were talking last, and yeah, that's what they want.
Yeah.
And so it's not like I didn't goad anyone into that. That was fully directed right at me for making a joke about Mike Pence.
And I'm pretty sure if you hadn't have had that other experience with him, he probably would have just ignored it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is because I called him out for being a thief, he reported me to, like, conservative watch lists or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the way they are. And it's hard to have conversations with people like that. It is completely hard, and I'm a person who does try, and it's difficult as shit when that's what you're left with. I mean, how, people, especially people like libertarians and people in the middle, love to bash Democrats and equally with the Republicans about always fighting and butting heads and never agreeing. It's like, how do you work with people like that? How do you have a conversation with people like that? It's tough, and I totally understand. I totally understand if you feel like your back's to the wall and you have to fight back in some way. But when you do, you look like an asshole too, and it's hard.
It's one of those things, like, I've been watching a lot of Susan B, and she kind of annoys me with just how much of a Hillary supporter she is, because I don't like the fact that you can't look at the problems with this woman. And anyway, she was talking about the violence in the anti-Trump protests after the election. He goes, and she goes, "Oh, great, liberals know how to lose everything, including the moral high ground." I'm like, fuck the moral high ground. Fucking lives are on the line right now.
Yeah. And you know what?
It's one thing to say, oh, well, I don't believe in violent protests, but fuck you, your life's probably not on the line.
And so far the protests have been pretty mild. I mean, there's been like a case here and there. But I mean, I know it is nowhere near as bad as what the Trump supporters were promising.
It's not, and the fact of the matter is, violent crime hate crimes went up. Yeah. Even more so than they did after 9/11.
And they fucking won. That's the thing.
Yeah, because they have a mandate to hate. That's what it is.
Yeah, and look.
They think they're safe to be. They think it's the 50s again now.
Yeah, and when Trump says, "Hey, stop it," hey, you're giving them a mixed message. when you say, "Hey, stop it," which I don't know, doesn't sound really heartfelt. When you put your white supremacist pal as your lead advisor, that's a bigger message. That's a more stronger message that, hey, this is where I'm going. This is where we're going.
Fucking Steve Bannon has the balls to say in an interview he's not a white nationalist. I'm like, dude, you've been publishing a paper for years.
Yeah.
That is aimed at a white nationalist audience. It doesn't matter if you've never said you're a white nationalist. You fucking know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, he's even attacked Asians. It's like, man, come on.
Yeah, he's like, you read the stuff his wife has said, and he's like, yeah, I don't want the kids going to a school with Jews. I'm like, what the fuck do you think we're supposed to take from that shit?
Yeah, it's just absolutely amazing. And my only hope is the system can slow these people down. And the fact that the numbers in the public are higher on the other side. So we got 2 years until the midterms to really kind of put any kind of stoppers on this. Mm-hmm. Outside of protesting and pressure. And political pressure can work. And if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're worried and you're scared, I want you to take some kind of solace in that you are not alone, and there are millions of Americans, even more so, that are in your corner, and we can't just allow ourselves to believe that we're not the majority, and that's what they want us to believe. And they're not.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me, is they want you to sit down and shut up.
Yeah.
That's what gets me about it. It's like, when people say, oh, well, the left is just as bad as the right in this country as far as politics go, I'm like, no, it's not. You look at what the voice of the right is, whether they called themselves Democrats or Republicans at the time, doesn't matter. Because people try to throw that shit at you. I'm like, they changed ideologies. Just fucking get used to it. They just changed names. Like you look at the right to the left, and it's like, okay, yeah, maybe they have fewer racists on one side or whatever, but here's the rhetoric of the Democrats in this country. We want $15 minimum wage. We want protections for minority communities so that they can't be harmed. We want this, that, and that to try to empower marginalized voices. You look at the right, and it's, we want to take these things away from these people. We want to make it harder to do this, that, and the other thing for marginalized groups. It's not a choice. If you believe in any kind of progressivism and you don't feel comfortable with violent revolution, you should be on the left side of politics in this country. If you believe in violent revolution, you know, I'm not going to be the person to tell you what to do, because for right now, my life isn't threatened, but I'll be honest with you. If I see police in my town walking down the street in riot gear, telling people to get inside their homes as they arrest people for fuck knows whatever reason, I'm not ruling out the possibility I'm going outside with a goddamn bat, you know?
It's frightening, and it's frightening that you and I have to even seriously talk about that possibility.
Yeah.
I didn't think, I did not think in this country that would be an issue.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, I'm afraid for people in this country, and I'm getting married to a white woman in a couple months. What the fuck? Like, just browsing, and I know Twitter isn't 100%, but at the same time, people show you who they are when they think they're not being guarded, right?
Yeah, or they don't have to face you.
Yeah, I'm browsing. I'll just randomly browse through Twitter hashtags when Trump supporters are going, and I saw one that was, it was a map of the U.S. before and after, Loving versus the state of Virginia, I want to say the case that legalized interracial marriage.
Which is about to be a movie.
Yeah. It was, I was looking at a map of that. It was before and after, and like how many states allowed it before the ruling and how many states were forced to allow it after the ruling. And then it was a picture of, really shittily drawn picture, just aesthetically speaking. But it was a picture of a child, two different versions of a child. And it was like, one said, it was like a, slightly brown toned skinned child, and it goes, what interracial couples think their children will look like. And the other was like this, it was clearly meant to look like the kid was retarded. There was like patches of black and white on the skin. The kid was like missing teeth. What their kids actually look like. Repeal Loving versus Virginia. I'm like, those are the people voting Trump.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm worried about the future of my kids.
Well, every time a president gets elected, people in that corner feel like they have the platform.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, hey, this is the people in Trump's corner.
Yep.
And they feel like they have the platform now. And, when people, when Obama won, that's when, the voices of diversity started talking about. And, the liberals, left, would talk about, very rational things, and sometimes, a little bit, too much, like, like daydreaming shit, like, the world changing. But, this is what happens over and over again. When W. Bush won, that's when the people who want to, like, outlaw evolution in schools or something like that, that's when, those people got their chance to really talk. Because, Bush was really hardcore, Christian right. Those people kind of followed Trump, but, aren't, like, totally, 100%, in this. I just want us to get through this 4 years, and I want him and Pence to be embarrassed. I want them to be defeated, and I want us to, as a country, to get through the next 4 years without a major disaster, without starting a pointless war, without having our economy collapse, without people being persecuted and round up, and I'm terrified for them, and I'm terrified for people losing their rights, which is bullshit. You shouldn't have to be given rights or taken rights away. I just want us to all get through this 4 years, and if it can be just embarrassing for them, embarrassing for the parties, and both parties can be rebuilt, that would be fantastic. I'm just afraid of that. I'm afraid of... Yeah, I am afraid of... Like, I mean, fuck, man, under the Bush years, I thought we were, like, sometimes, like, ruled like a dictatorship. And, I'd love to go back to that.
Yeah, and, like, that's the thing is, like, he's talking about doing more militarization of the police force, and he wants to, put stop and frisk out there as, like, a national policy, and you can't argue with those ideas. Like, you can't argue with him about it. The moderator, the Fox News moderator, in the final debate told him, stop and frisk has been shown to be disproportionately affecting minority communities. He's like, no, it hasn't. It was shown to be, it was ruled to be unconstitutional. No, it hasn't. You're talking about another case. No, he's fucking not.
Yeah, well,
listen to him.
That's the thing with arguing about Trump is he just straight up lies and denies common facts. Even shit on video. I've seen him, like, lie and say he didn't say shit, which is on video, and I can see him saying it. Mm-hmm. And he just, like sits there and goes, I didn't say that. Like, it is yes, you did.
I swear to God, before the election was over, one of my favorite tweets was, in a couple years, Donald Trump will look a reporter right in the eyes and say, I never ran for president. The dude is a pathological liar. And you know what? So is Hillary Clinton. And that was
I wouldn't say pathological. I think
I don't know, man. She at very least lawyered the fuck out of everything she said.
Well, yeah.
And no wonder no one fucking her.
Here's the thing. I don't think Hillary. I think Hillary is pretty standard politician. She's kind of a mainstream Democrat politician, and she will tweak facts
which
in order to work in her favor. Yeah. And she gets a lot of shit for doing the same shit that I see a lot of politicians do. And she is made the face of whatever someone is angry about. They kind of throw and tag on her. Which to be honest, I don't always find fair because, we just saw like Trump get away with fucking murder this election.
Yeah.
And she lost what, over emails? Mm-hmm. Like over emails about what? That's the thing that just throws me
about nothing.
About nothing. Like
they witch hunted her for like the dumbest things too. Like, why didn't they go after more the pay-to-play? Like, what I was really concerned with that they barely even focused on was the pay-to-play stuff with the foundation. That was really concerning to me.
Yeah.
Just all the like, she's a typical politician liar, but that's the thing, is she's a typical politician liar. And the biggest problem was she couldn't call him out. Like, just how absurd is this? You had someone running who couldn't call someone else out as a pathological liar for fear of being pointed out that she's a liar. Two, what the fuck with that? That doesn't even, like, how can calling someone out, hey, that person's a pathological liar. Yeah, well, so are you, though. And that shut down any avenue she had for that argument. That's fucked up. I hate the way this election turned out.
Yeah.
Like, even if Hillary won, I would not be happy with how this election turned out right now.
I would have been relieved.
It would have been more of the same, I'll agree, but I would. It would
have been more of the same, and we wouldn't be living in a country be terrified about fascism. I would be relieved, and here's the thing, like, there are things, and I'm sure you and I have talked about this, there are things about Hillary that, concern me. And I voted for Bernie in the primaries over Hillary.
Me too.
I voted for Obama over Hillary. And, I really want a woman president. And, I had two chances to vote for her in the primaries, and I didn't. I opted out on them. And here's the thing, like, Hillary is workable. That's the thing. Like, we could, if she won, we could hold her feet to the fire. And
yeah.
and work with what is wrong with her. And I don't see us, or at least we have to really work hard with Trump and really try and struggle with Trump.
And that's the thing is, like, he's got such a, what's the word I want? Contrarian style of personality that the more you try to get him to do one thing, he's just going to try even harder not to do it.
Yeah, he'll double down on whatever you don't want him to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, he's such a flip-flopper and all this other crap. I just don't know what you can do with him.
Yeah, and what he says, I mean, everything he says is just fluid. like he doesn't really pay attention to what even he says. So it's hard to sit down and it's hard for other politicians to sit down and have a conversation with him.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't fucking matter what he says. It doesn't fucking matter what you say to him. And that's it. And his supporters are true believers. It's a religion to them.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, they would make any excuse for him at any point. When he talked about grabbing women by the pussy, it's like, oh, it's just locker room talk, and he hasn't actually done anything. Then when women come forward after the debate where he said, I've never done anything like that, no. By the way, Anderson Cooper had to ask him that question 3 times before he finally got a yes or no answer out of him.
Yeah.
Also something Mike Pence is terrible at is yes or no answers. But anyway, like, Trump in the debate says, I have never done anything like that. And then, of course, women start coming forward after that point when he lies on national television about whether or not he's done those things. And they're like, yeah, actually, he did that to me. He kissed me without asking. He walked into our dressing room while we were all naked and just stared at us.
Yeah.
Women start talking about that. And what do the pundits and the conservatives start doing? Not conservatives. I'm sorry. I'm going to try not to use that word. What do his true believers, his Trumpeteers, start doing? Oh, well, these women are obviously just lying and are paid off by the media. And then they start. Again, Twitter is such an interesting thing to me. Did you see the Hillary Grope Me hashtag trending at all?
No.
It came out shortly after the whole tape, the Hollywood Access tape, and it was this Trumpeteer Trumpeteers trying to make a satirical point about the idea that the women accusing Donald Trump of sexual assault are liars because they just want to influence the result of the outcome. So what they did is basically make fun of those women by claiming that Hillary Clinton groped them.
Oh.
It's like, see, there's no way to prove that it didn't happen. So obviously, it's like, why wouldn't you take my side with it? Why are you saying that I'm just doing it because of the election and the other women aren't?
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'll be honest. I'm sure there are women that came forward and were lying because they didn't like Trump, but not that many women come out that late in the campaign if it wasn't actually happening.
Well, as we
I'm sure that people, it's a sad thing, but people do come forward for the publicity. I'm sure there's a portion, but I'm guaranteeing you.
Well, there's also,
it's ridiculous to say it's not all of them.
There's also this pressure not to come forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because
guess what happened when you came forward?
Yeah. You get death threats.
Now you're going to be sued and all this other shit.
Sued and not believed, and your reputation is destroyed, and you just shut up and, let it go and stuff like that. And there's a tremendous amount of pressure to not say anything, especially when the person is powerful and is well known over and over again. And, there's a lot. The pressure is to just, hey, just, move on. And it just happens. I don't know, it's difficult.
Yeah, I agree. It's absolute craziness. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what he's going to do. And you asked this earlier, like, if he doesn't get that wall built, will his supporters abandon him? No, they're going to blame it on the Democrats.
They will blame it on the Democrats, but still, if he doesn't get that wall up in the first 4 years, and he's running for re-election, I think he will lose some energy from his supporters. They won't all abandon him, but that'll take the wind out of their sails.
I don't know, man. I think they are it's a fascist system that they are supporting fascism.
Yeah,
they're tired of being told, no, you can't be hateful, you can't have these views anymore. And so they want to be able to take back what they see as their country.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I don't think anything that he does... Like, they interviewed a lot of Trump supporters, and a lot of them say, yeah, he's probably not going to be able to get the wall built, but we don't care. We want him in the White House anyway.
Yeah. My hope is, just that energy, the energy will dissipate.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a sobering effect after a year or two. Because look, Bush, when Bush got in, he forced himself in. Before 9/11, you could even see like people getting fed up with him pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9/11 happened. He was kind of able to turn it around for himself. I hope there's no crisis. I hope there's no event. And
if there's going to be one, I guarantee you he causes it.
Well, look, if he causes it, because here's the thing, I'm not a 9/11 truther. I think what happened happened.
Oh no, I didn't mean it like that.
No. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they'd be willing to do something that awful, or at least make something look like it's awful, or some kind of.
No. When I said if he causes it, I meant like if there's a war, I think it'll be a war that he started, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's what. I'm also afraid of him starting a war with somebody. I mean, the Republicans really wanted to start a war with Iran a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And they're even talking about getting backing out of the peace deal, which was a smart and well done deal. Because it kept us from going to fucking war with Iran, and it's keeping weapons out of their hands. But we can't go back on that deal. We have to...
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like he's got this whole, I'm going to rip up deals. Well, dude, that compromises the faith in the word of the country. And to be fair, Obama kind of compromised faith in the word of the American political system as far as the international community is concerned.
Well, let's be honest. Every president does.
Not to... I'll
even people we like are going to do it. And hey,
I'll push back on that a little bit. I'll say that I think Obama did kind of compromise the American presence on the world stage a little bit with the threat to go into Syria with precision military force, and then got backed out of it and did the whole diplomacy thing with regards to weapons to chemical weapons.
Yeah.
I do think that he compromised because he they called his bluff, basically. I do think that was a mistake that I will put solely on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless of that, like if Trump starts ripping up NAFTA and all these other trade deals and these and ripping up agreements between allied nations, I'm not a fan of American world imperialism, but the fact of the matter is there will be consequences to doing things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it, at the very least, shatters faith in American I don't know what's the word I want in American word.
Yeah. Well, our brand will be.
There you
diminished.
go. There's a good way.
And here's the thing: is like, yeah, we are an empire, but I'd like to think we're a good empire for the most part. We do shit that's not. We do shit that's a little underhanded. We do shit that I don't agree with. But look, if you have like an evil, like,
we wouldn't be a very good villain.
We wouldn't be a good villain. Look, if you want an empire to lord over this planet, you can't do better. You can't do worse than America.
I don't know if I'd agree with that, but I see where you're coming from.
But I
still think it's a problem.
See, yeah, but
I think it's a problem either way, and that's again why I think Hillary would have been a really bad choice as well, because she was much more hawkish than Obama, and I would see her starting more military conflicts.
Well, if you want to talk about my problems with Hillary, that was one of my problems. She is a more hawkish Democrat than Obama is.
Yeah, I think she has just bad judgment on choices. You look at the way her campaign run; it was a fucking disaster.
Well, she is definitely somebody. Well, talk about an international and she'll go right up to you. And she'll, and that's what I think was frustrating by people thinking like she was going to be a weak president in that regard. Anything she would be too strong. She'd be too willing to go in military.
And that's things like she would question. She wouldn't want to be questioned on it, so she would be more aggressive just by nature of that, even more so than she already was just by the decision she'd already made.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to be questioned of she's a woman, so she's weak. So she'd be even more hawkish because of stuff like that. And people listening, I was not a fan of Clinton, and if honestly, if the Supreme Court was not on the chopping block this election, I wouldn't have voted for Clinton. I probably would have just wrote in a candidate because I knew Indiana was going to go red anyway. The only reason I voted for her was because of the Supreme Court. I really did not like Hillary Clinton. I like Obama as a guy, but I still think he did a lot of things that I cannot ever be okay with. Not to the level that Bush is, but I do think Obama could be prosecuted for war crimes, which is not something that it's nice to say about your president, but... Mm-hmm. Fact of the matter is, everyone goes, oh, well, he ended wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Yeah, by expanding drone strikes. And guess what? Children die in those. That's fundamentally when boots on the ground, American lives are lost, but it's more precision and less innocents die in conflicts in that manner. But airstrikes, it's almost entirely civilian casualties, and maybe if you're lucky, you'll get the guy you wanted.
Airstrikes... It is easier to step back and not really feel the consequences when it's airstrikes, particularly when it's drone airstrikes.
Yep.
Because it's
like a fucking video game.
Yeah, it's not even a human element involved in that.
And that's things like, so I really, I see why he did it and the idea of no more American lives are lost, but the fact of the matter is, I care about the lives of children, and guess what? For every person that you maybe... And Rumsfeld will tell you this. Rumsfeld was the one that made this argument, and say what you will about Donald Rumsfeld, but he knew what he was talking about on this. For every airstrike you do, maybe if you're lucky you get the person you wanted, but you create 10 more people who now have a reason to hate you for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. Because
you took their family away.
Yeah.
You create more enemies than you could possibly get rid of.
I remember... who's I'm trying to remember the Democrat that ran against Nixon. What was his name?
I don't know.
Oh shit, his name's flaking on me right now. But he was a bomber pilot in World War II, and he had this story. I was listening to him talk about. I was listening to him talk about it on NPR once, and he was talking about how he would occasionally wonder about those people. And he felt like he had to do what he had to do. And he was asked, do you have any regrets about any particular bombing runs you went through? And he said, yeah, there was one. I was bombing in Germany. And one bomb went a little off course and hit a farmhouse that was not a target. And for the rest of my life, I have been worried that, maybe I just killed an innocent family. Mm-hmm. And somebody had heard that interview and contacted him. And it was actually the son of the man who owned that house.
Oh, wow.
And he said, we were people who hated Hitler, we hated the Nazis, and when we saw your planes coming, we took shelter and got out of the house. And everyone survived. And we were happy when Hitler went down. And, we were thankful, for, the Allies and, what they did. And we thought it was a small price to pay. And that was something that, he really needed to hear. And he, that was like, what was in...
George McGovern's the name.
Thank you, McGovern. George McGovern. And, McGovern had talked about, that was
that lifted a weight off his conscience that had been like there for like maybe 40 years.
Mm-hmm. And I guess my thing with that is, while that could be a possibility, and I'm sure there are people like that in this situation. In fact, the matter is you can't see drones coming. That's the whole point of them. They are stealth. But also, you have people in power in these regions who are telling, children and families that there's this evil empire out there that wants you dead and wants to destroy everything you believe in, and they're going to come to kill you if you don't start fighting. And then they, even if they don't believe that, then they see it happen. They see exactly what's being talked about happen, and so that's what's inspiring so many people to go fight.
Yeah.
In the first place.
And, if they hear how, in the case of, Muslim terrorists, if they hear how terrible Muslim citizens are being treated in this country, that's only fuel for their fire.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is Hillary, she jumped the gun on it, but I mean, it was. I'll just give her the credit and say she misspoke. She jumped the gun on it during the primary and said Donald Trump is being used by radical groups to recruit, and Trump demanded an apology because it wasn't true. There was no factual evidence of it, and then guess what? A couple weeks later, they started doing that. And his whole argument was, oh, well, you just gave them that idea. I'm like, no, that was going to come regardless, dude. Mm-hmm. It did not. Don't put that on her. She misspoke and said, she should have said, you will be used as fodder for recruitment.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I do have problems with both sides in this election, but the fact of the matter is, I think that Hillary Clinton would have been more of the same, and then maybe, like you said, we could possibly hold her feet to the fire and try to solve some of these bigger problems I have with U.S. imperialism.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, Trump is a fascist. He's going to expand U.S. imperialism.
Yeah, that's...
both out in the world and here at home.
Exactly, because, if Hillary was in the White House, Bernie Sanders would have had a greater importance. There was even talk that he might have been the majority leader. Mm-hmm. He would have had a great deal of power.
Well, he is now. He's the
he still has.
Democrat leader.
That's one of the things that it's, that's one of the good things. One of the good outcomes of this election is that
silver lining, baby.
Yeah, there's some silver linings, and that is one of them. He did come out of this with more power. I believe Elizabeth Warren is a stronger presence in Washington because of this. Who, I'll be honest, if she was running in the primaries and it was Bernie, her, and Clinton, I would have voted for Warren. I would have voted for Warren over Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, sure. I mean, those two would have been the ones winning. I think a lot of people voted for Hillary for history. They didn't vote for a lot of people were voting for Hillary not because she was Hillary Clinton, but because she was a woman. So if you had a Democratic challenger that was a woman like Elizabeth Warren, I think you very well might have had her boxed out, and she wouldn't have gotten the nomination.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Hillary Clinton lost the election more than Donald Trump won the election. And, I feel like if you really sat Hillary down after the election, you got just, maybe got her drunk so she wasn't slurring her words, I think you could have asked her, do you blame yourself for losing this election? And I think you probably would have gotten a yes.
I would give anything to
see
sit down.
Hillary Clinton drunk.
Sit down one-on-one, no mics, nobody else around, just sitting and getting drunk with her and talking. Just between her and me. I wouldn't share, I promise, I won't tell anybody. I won't tell anybody shit about what you say. God, I would love that. I would kill to hear what she would say. But yeah, there are silver linings. I kind of talked about them here and there during this conversation. Is there is a growing majority that is not for Trump and for policies of Trump, and it sadly just didn't go that way this election, and in an unfortunate way, because the two houses were still under the control of the Republicans. But yeah, I do think we have a chance to turn this around. Hopefully, look, we can also trust Trump to be himself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's quite a possibility that he might trip himself up. We do have...
That's the thing that got me, is like the whole time during the primaries, the Republicans are all like, oh, well, he'll pivot after he wins the primary. And then during the election is, oh, well, he'll pivot once he wins the election. And, to be fair, he did try to, like, Kellyanne Conway fucking collared that boy and started getting him to, at least sometimes, at least during the day, to act more presidential.
Well, I'm not talking...
And then...
Yeah, I'm not talking about the politically, fuck himself up. I'm talking about, like, legally fuck himself up.
Oh yeah,
I do because he's Trump. He's incredibly corrupt. I'm hoping that maybe he just feels like he can just get away with what he normally does. And hey, the rules are a little bit different when you're president. I'm talking about something impeachable.
Yeah,
I see this guy doing something impeachable.
It's possible, but the thing is, you need Congress to be able to impeach a guy, and like maybe you can get Congress behind Mike Pence, but then again, your best case scenario is Mike Pence as president.
And I will say, as much as that's horrifying, he would be definitely a diminished figure, because you know what, Gerald Ford took over after Nixon was forced to resign, and he didn't win re-election.
True.
And he was a much nicer guy
than Mike Pence. Everybody's a nicer guy than Mike Pence. I'd rather hang out with Mussolini than Mike Pence.
I mean, if you could say, hey, you could pull the ripcord and get Gerald Ford, yeah. I would be overjoyed if I could have Gerald Ford be president right now.
Yeah, but
pull him out of time.
What I was saying. With what I was saying with the
but he was greatly depowered, and he didn't win a re-election. Jimmy Carter and the Democrats were able to hang like every shitty thing Nixon did on him. And if something happens that way with Trump and Pence, that's exactly what the Democrats would do. Is hang every terrible thing from Trump on Pence. If he had a year or so in the White House, of course. So yeah, I mean, it'd be a year or two with him in power, but it would be a pretty weakened president. But here's the thing. That's just hoping. That's just like the Ninja Turtles doing the woo-wee method in their cartoon. It's like you can't just sit down and just hope the other person fucks up. We have to be. What's that?
What I was going to say about like the way he's like, Kellyanne Conway did everything she could to get him to just act like a decent human being for a couple months during the primary or during the election, and she kind of got like maybe a 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of performance from him. Now that he's won, I think we're going to see primary Trump again. Like, I think he's going to continue this, we're going to unite people until someone says something that pisses him off. He's already taken to Twitter to defend Mike Pence getting booed.
Yeah.
It's not going to be long before we see primary Trump back.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the face of America for at least 4 years.
Yeah, we'll just have to be embarrassed.
Yep.
And, I don't know. I don't know what else I got.
Yeah, I'm about done too. There's very, very little left to talk about with this. I can't think of anything we didn't at least cover somewhat, except for I do want to touch one thing popped in my mind. What do you think the future of the Black Lives Matter movement is under a Trump presidency?
I think it's going to continue. I think it's going to be empowered. I think. I really. I think. It depends. It's possible that the Trump administration will try to crack down on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. And
I'm worried that it's going to get cracked down upon and like labeled as a terrorist group or something.
Well, I would not be shocked if they tried to label it as a terrorist group. And I think they're actually going to have to. They're going to have to do a lot of planning. They're going to have to really plan ahead for these next 4 years and lawyer up and be smart because they might have a big fight on their hands for the next 2 to 4 years.
Yeah, I'm really worried to see what happens to them because they are the most progressive group that I find myself identifying with, more or less. Just like obviously their main concern is the black community, as it should be, but obviously everything they do is going to affect other minority populations in this country.
I think what might help Black Lives Matter is if someone within their group becomes a face.
See, I don't think so. I think part of what makes the group so powerful is the fact that there's no one person to single out.
I don't know. See, the thing is, like, when there isn't a face, then it's easier for the other side to just point at them as some monolithic, evil, monstrous thing that you can scare people with. If there's a face, if there's somebody that we could kind of, like, attach ourselves to in one form or another, that might, I feel like that might, help things. I don't know. I
don't know. I guess agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah. But hey, I'm not like, I'm not 1,000% behind that idea. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like that would help. But
I think more people in higher positions need to be more supportive of the movement publicly. I think I think Democrats need to start more publicly supporting it, particularly in states with heavy black populations.
I know, yeah. And also, Black Lives Matter really I think it's important for them to improve relations with the police, and I know they've been trying to. But there's some, there's some people who just think they hate police and want to kill the police. And they need to work on that perception. And I know that's not totally their fault because it's the other side, frankly, that throws such shit on them. But yeah, they need, I've already said, they have a fight on their hands for the next few years, and they need to make sure that the public understands where they're coming from.
Yeah, and I think every civil rights group needs to really buckle down and get ready to fight every single battle and challenge everything, and not let anything get by without at least trying to stop it.
Because the other side is going to try and paint them in the ugliest manners they can. That's what I say. Like, Hillary wouldn't be perfect, but
she wouldn't do shit like that.
She would never do shit like that ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so now everybody has to, lawyer up and fight and be threatened. And there's, I didn't want to live through a period like this. I'd hear shit about the civil rights era, and I'm highly respectful of those people who lived during that period and fought during that period and were threatened every day. And, this is back when, people didn't, say hateful shit to them on Twitter. They'd throw bricks through their windows and, set their houses on fires. I am afraid that we'll be living through a period like that. Now, I hope maybe this is just my fear. I'd love to be wrong. I'd be so ecstatic to be wrong. I'd love for 2 years to go, what the fuck was I thinking about? I would be happy to laugh at myself.
But you can't just hope for that. You have to be doing things on the ground, right?
Yeah. And so I hope I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong.
Yeah. Me too, but sadly I don't think I am. And so that's why I have the headspace I do right now. So here we are. Everyone take care. Everyone, be good to each other. Don't accept anything that you are afraid of. Fight like hell, because you can damn sure bet they're going to fight you anyway.
I want to challenge everybody out there. And if anybody listens to this whole thing and still listening, I want to challenge people out there who are obviously liberals like me, but libertarians, Green Party, moderates, and Republicans and even Trump supporters, if you're listening. If we could just take a step back for being all hot and angry, and that's everybody, and just engage and ask questions instead of raging, and just if we could just do our best to chill out for a second and really, forget about, the anger and the fear for a minute and just talk to each other. And here's the thing. If Hillary had won, I was ready. I was so done with fighting, and I'm so tired of fighting. And I'm so tired of the anger and the hate. And, I was going to make this kind of attempt to be more, to try and challenge myself to discuss with people more, even with people I completely disagree with. And now I'm in the position of a Trump presidency. And I really would like to, ask people who are Trump supporters, just please ask and please listen and please talk. And
yeah, if you truly believe that you voted for Trump for selfless reasons and you truly think he's going to do good things and that we're overreacting, don't make excuses then. I want you to, I hope that you take responsibility and you really see the fact that you could very well have been wrong. I don't want you to, don't defend yourself because you can't face the idea of being wrong. If you truly think that you made the right decision here and you made a decision that's going to help the country move forward and be stronger together, face the possibility that could be wrong.
Yeah.
And don't just turn yourself off to people being crybabies.
If you voted for him because you wanted change and you wanted lobbyists out of Washington, if you're just afraid of Hillary, but you do hate the obvious, racist shit that comes along with this, hold him to the fire. Hold his feet to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Say, hey, I like this shit you're doing here, but I hate this other stuff you're doing. Also, don't be afraid to voice your opposition for your own guy. And it's okay if he disappoints you here and there. You don't have to agree with everything just because it's your side. And I don't, you and I have talked about, how, people we supported, we're not okay with everything our guys have been about.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would have happily voted, well, I mean, I voted for Hillary, but, I would have voiced my opposition for the things that I didn't like, like her connections to Wall Street and, her military positions. I would definitely stand up for that. And I would hope, I don't know, there's just got to be a breaking point where we've just been getting worse and worse. We're not talking. We're yelling our own talking points at each other, both sides. And I'm done. I'm just so done with doing it. And I would like to just challenge and talk to people about it. And, because sometimes when you sit down with somebody who doesn't agree with you, when you sit down and talk, you will sometimes find you do have things you agree on. And I've had conversations with severe conservatives where, we butt heads all the time. But when we talk, we realize our motivations come from the same areas. And we just come to different conclusions. And I'd really like to engage Democrats and pro-Trump people and everybody in between to talk it out a little bit more and to try and engage instead of jumping right to rage. And if you could just please do that, we might have a tolerable 4 years.
Okay, last thing I want to say is I went back and watched the very end of our discussion from last time. And I remember I said something that I want to readdress now. Toward the end of that last discussion on the 2012 election, I said, end of the day, even though I have severe problems with this country, I am still proud to be an American. And this should give you an idea of how I feel lately. And the image that I've put up on screen is I think, how I've felt throughout the entirety of the election, which is the upside-down American flag. I honestly cannot say that to you anymore. I see what this country has just done and who it has put in power and what that man says he stands for, and I cannot be comfortable saying a thing like that about myself anymore. You raise the flag upside down to let people in the distance know that everything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong, that you are in immediate distress, and you are never to do that unless you feel like incredible threat is imminent. And this isn't me being cute. This isn't me being funny by displaying an image like that. That's how I feel about the state of this country right now. If I were in the White House on November 9th in the morning, I would have walked up to the roof and rose the flag upside down for the world to see. And that's how I'm feeling about the state of the country right now after this election. And that's where I'm going to end this. You don't have to respond to that if you don't want to or anything. Right. That's just where I'm at right now. Everyone, thank you very much for watching. Those that did, those that want to leave nasty comments and dislikes, feel free. I'm not going to bother with them. I don't care. If you do think that we're overreacting, I will read comments like that. I will read comments that say it's not going to be as bad as you think it's going to be, and I will argue tooth and nail with you about it, and I will look at you in a year when he's made decisions, and I'll tell you, tell me how this is not bad. I'll fight you tooth and nail, and that's just where I am right now. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm the Manos.
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.